Hey everyone, I'm MJ. I think I know a lot of you, which is good. It also makes me more nervous when I am speaking in front of people who I actually know. How many of you have been to the last panel we did, which was right after COVID? Right after COVID, we had design reunion. Okay. Exactly. So right after COVID, we had 2 years of lockdowns. Then we met. It was a very successful event. We also discussed it briefly. There was a lot of people who met on the event who then got hired by companies. So it was very transitioning times. I think now with AI, after the last 2 years, we're kind of in a similar situation. There has been a lot of transition going on, and it's very uneasy. I think a lot of people are thinking about, like, do I still have a job? How will my job change? It's a very evolving moment. And I understand that it's also maybe uneasy for some people, but we discussed with the guys that we want this event to end on a positive note, that we are very hopeful about the future. So we will try also throughout talking to achieve that. And yeah, there has been also during the last meetup a lot of feedback on my hosting skills, and mainly because I didn't leave enough time for Slido. So now I'm going to try to make and fix this mistake. And please ask questions on Slido. And I have 2 breaks during the panel where we can answer some of the questions. And I hope that the questions which are not answered here, we can then discuss during the networking part. So that's an introduction, I think, from my side. We have amazing lineup today. We have 3 people who I know very well, who are really dear friends of mine. We have Peter Kocur from Upheal. Yeah. Peter is a person who I like to talk about bicycles with, but also we have a lot of work therapy together in SK on some mornings for breakfast. So it feels natural to discuss with him. So now we will do the same discussion we have in the mornings in SK, just in front of people. Then we have Michal Matyščák from Productboard. Yeah. So this seems like the lineup was selected because people are my friends, but it was also a coincidence because these people are very good in their fields. But Michal, we have a very deep relationship. I've been at his wedding. I even remember I got a kiss on my cheek from Michal. So that's how far this relationship goes. We've been also working together for a long time. So I'm very curious how much changed and how much your thinking evolved now working on AI in Productboard. And then we have Dima from Outreach. And with Dima, we have also a very deep relationship because we met in person for the first time today. But also he was the first one to comment on my document when I shared the topics for today. So that already proves that you are BFFs when someone immediately reviews your document in Google. So Dima, I'm very curious how Outreach is doing with AI because they have been, I think, one of the first ones implementing it. So expect a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, that's the lineup for today. I mentioned Slido, toilets. I think you know where they are. Just yeah, there is a guys' room. Ladies' room is there, true. I don't go there that often, but it's on that side. And we are recording, so I don't know if anything else I should mention organization-wise. There are snacks, but hopefully everyone noticed.
The Slido, it seems to be private. It's locked on the SSL, so you need to sign into Kiwi.
Can we fix our Slido, please?
Yeah. Some people.
So it's only for people who ask good questions. So. Okay, that's the introduction. I will sit down because this will be a long time to. Okay, before we go into the tough topics, I wanted to do a lightning round with our speakers, just for you to kind of get a little bit understanding of who they are. So guys, I will just shoot very simple questions, fast answers. We can go 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So it's not Peter always starting with the question. Pretty simple. Okay. So what was your first design job?
Website for cemetery, actually.
Cemetery. Good way to start. Okay.
Yeah, back in my beloved Poprad.
In Popper.
For 20 euros, I think. Good days.
And what was it built on? Like what was? Or you did only the design?
No, I also did HTML, and then I somehow did the form, which I can't recall how, but it worked. Hopefully.
So you knew who died.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not funny. Yeah. Okay. So, Michal?
Yeah, so my first proper job was probably when I was making websites in Photoshop for the gaming teams. I started with my gaming team when I was like proper gamer, and then I started like making money aside because I was like super young there. It was like 1,000 crowns per website, I remember, and yeah, it was like my first design job probably.
So what was the game you were playing?
We were playing Call of Duty.
Okay.
Too. And it was like, we were like pro gamers playing some leagues, etc. So everyone had to have a website to present the team, share the results of matches with different teams. And yeah, like who had better website with more flashy colors was of course like better.
Nice. Dima, what was your first design?
Yeah, like I think that it's recorded, so I don't know if I should tell you this, but I'll try to be honest. So my first design job was designing shady advertisements, so like meat, hot, whatever in your area and stuff like this. But then I, after that time, because like originally I'm a lawyer, so I tried to do everything to get any design job. And after that, I got a proper design job in a small design boutique studio. And then I had like normal projects. But yeah, that was the first one. And yeah, I tried to be open and yeah.
Nice. Okay, so speaking about first job, what was the first version Photoshop you used?
I can start. So the story about Photoshop is that because, as I mentioned, I was a lawyer, so the lawyers usually stay in books. So what I did is I ordered a book like this, How to Learn Photoshop, and I spent like a couple of months in like learning how to use Photoshop, and later on I realized that actually I can just open the Photoshop and start using it. I don't remember, I think that it was CC, so I don't recall the version, but yeah, it was quite late, 2018.
Okay, so it was already a Creative Cloud version.
Yeah. Actually had Photoshop 4, if I remember correctly.
CS4 or Photoshop 4?
CS4.
CS4,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was on CS2 even.
CS2. That was my start with the feather.
Yeah,
the icon, I remember. Okay, do you remember what was the last question you asked ChatGPT or like GPT?
I was actually prompting it today to come up with the scenario, the doomsday scenario of how it could happen that we would all lose our jobs. And it was annoyingly positive that it won't happen. So, as it is.
I was actually using it for work, not for doomsday scenarios. And I was actually trying the deep research to find out like the competitors for Productboard actually.
Okay.
So yeah.
We will get deeper into that, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't use for question, but I asked ChatGPT to generate a photo of my dog with gold chain because my dog passed away last Friday, and like I just wanted to order him like a proper I don't know how to call this, like to put on the grave. So I thought that like a photo of him with gold chain would be nice. So yeah, that's like the last thing I did, and that was today. So not a question, but yeah.
Okay, as I said at the beginning, we're going to be hopeful, but we have a dead dog and a cemetery website, so we're starting good.
Can only go up from here.
Yeah. We can only go up. Okay, and then the final question: what's your favorite AI tool?
Oh, I don't want to sound boring, but unfortunately I will go vanilla. So it's ChatGPT. I tried a lot of options, but I think that for the price, it gives quite a lot of variety. And yeah, I had a lot of subscriptions, but in the end I just keep ChatGPT, and I'm quite happy, although sometimes I switch between ChatGPT and Claude, so it's like mixed, but currently it's ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm deciding whether I will say V0 or Lovable. It's really hard. I'm now like in the middle of like evaluating which one will win this relationship with me.
Okay, let's dive into it because I think it's quite relevant. Like why? So what's better and what's worse in what we're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's like ideally I would combine like all the pros of each and like create like ultimate tool. I would say I like Lovable because it is able to convert much precisely the Figma designs. So like getting the what I already have in the Figma to like some working prototype is much more precise and faster.
And you export from Figma to Lovable
Yeah.
through the Builder IO plugin.
Yeah. But I like don't like on Lovable that when you are really working on versions and you are trying to really make the prototype very interactive, and especially like when I use it for Productboard, which tends to be like quite complex app, it soon runs off the credits, the tokens, so you have to stop for a day, and this is something that I really hate. And in comparison, like the Vercel is really, or they don't have any like read-and limit. Lovable has directly like read-and limit that this is amount you have for a day. So I didn't reach the limit of V0, but I struggle usually to really make it as I really want to. Yeah, so usually when I put there the Figma, it completely destroys it, and like you have to really try a lot to fix it.
Yeah, I also think that V0 doesn't have the Visivic editor, and Lovable has, right? Like you can tweak stuff, but in V0 I don't think that you can tweak like in Figma, like with.
No. You can just select and then again like prompt it.
Her favorite AI tool?
Now it would be Cursor, I think, but I use GPT the most. And the gem that actually Alex recommended to me is Warp Terminal, because I have to use Terminal, and it's just too smart to recommend me stuff that I need, so I never have to search for Terminal commands. And
so what is the Warp?
Warp.
Okay. But how does this differ? Like, so Cursor can give you, like you can ask Cursor the agent to.
Yeah, but I do like separate terminal.
Okay, got it.
It's just a preference.
Okay, so that was the lightning round. Let's get into the tough topics. So in Kiwi, like when I was creating these questions, I was also looking at ourselves as like, what are we dealing with right now? So a little bit of a context to the questions. What I've seen in our team, we've switched over the last 2 years to much more lean approach. The team is smaller, more effective. Designers cover bigger ground. I see this happening kind of around the market and in other companies as well. So this naturally really changed the design process and how we do critiques, how we design handoffs, how we communicate with developers. Like everything got quite evolved. So if you look at, we've been talking about COVID. So if you look at the last like 5 years ago, how we were designing stuff, and when you look at your design process today, what are the biggest changes you see? Like how did your process change? Maybe some hacks. What evolved this, made you more effective? So who wants to start?
I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would say compared to 5 years ago, now I spend less time in Figma and more time in meetings and discussing with variety of people different topics. So that's something that I don't know if I like or not, but that's kind of the reality of my work. So curious to hear how it changed for others. And I think that when it comes to trying to implement AI, maybe the last year was kind of crucial. There changed a lot of things. Because 5 years ago, I don't remember doing anything with AI, but last year I started experimenting with different tools. So there is a lot that happened, I would say.
I can confirm it. Like, I feel that yes, our team shrunk. We had to like move fast. Also, like we had to do a lot of trade-offs, like cut really or keep only the necessary parts in the design process. Sometimes like
So what are, sorry to jump in, just what are some unnecessary parts in the design
yes,
process?
that's very good question. Sometimes like it can be the research, because in our case like the designers are like really experts in the domain, so they like carry some already understanding of the customer, deep knowledge, so they can like heavily emphasize like what could be like the proper solution for a problem. So when we actually see that, oh, this is something like we can solve pretty simple in a simple way, we, for example, omit completely like the research. So we are not testing it. We are really just fleshing it out in Figma and just going forward and release it. So this is one of the example. So I would say like the process changed, and it made us like faster. It also changed the quality, and also like the quality went in both ways. Sometimes we know that we don't do really what we should be doing, but we are okay with that. But at the same time, like maybe using some AI tools, it speeded up a bit, and it enables us to also increase the quality.
Okay, and so the trade-off of you do things faster, so naturally the quality goes lower, but the company is willing to sacrifice the quality.
Like we just need to like flesh it out quickly, push it out for the customers, and then learn, maybe kill it, then iterate it, and like really work with the learnings from the field.
Is this also because of the competition, like that the competition is doing stuff faster and Productboard needs to stay?
I would say it's common in every field. Like when you saw competitors doing something, you have to usually like do it pretty quickly. Just copy it and just have it.
Benchmark it. I call it benchmarking.
Anything to add? Or?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, except how the process improved, I think I've been very blessed to work in AI companies and with great people. So what changed, in my point of view, the most in our last 2 years is that my kind of conceptual landscape expanded, because I would say that DeepNote really operated on the edge of what is possible with AI. And there is no company in Upheal if there is no AI. So I think we really work with AI, and I understand, I think, a bit more what is even possible. And so with that knowledge, I can design, I think, in a different way, because I'm already aware of what is capable to do with AI and what AI models can do, as opposed to when I would be, for example, working in other orgs where the AI is not as advanced. So that's awesome.
Okay. So speaking about the process, at Kiwi, one of the things where I see, so we try a lot different stuff. We experiment a ton, and there is even like this year really big doubling down on just experimenting with the efficiency, with the speed, with the quality, like, and using AI to enable us to do that. I can say that everything I say today, we don't have any single thing where I would be very confident in, like, oh, this is a booster, like 100% this works, and I'm very confident in it. It's always kind of like pilot, and we are trying it out. But one area where I do see that we are maybe the closest is the research and insights gathering. And mainly taking a lot of data and asking AI agents to provide insights from this data. So we have a ton of research studies, like hundreds of research studies from our qualitative and quantitative research, a lot of interviews, competitor analysis, surveys, and so on. And what we've tried is we tried different models to work on top of this data and build our internal kind of AI, where PMs, designers can ask questions and they can get insights directly from this. One of the tools which worked really well, and I think is working the best with your internal data and not searching the web, is Perplexity. we have like an enterprise version of Perplexity where we put a ton of data into it from our Google Docs, and then people can ask Perplexity questions and it kind of gives them insight. So this is just like a kind of a case study from us where I see the biggest progress. It has downsides. That sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes it's not correct, sometimes the context is not up to date and the world changed in the last year. So there are like limitations, we have to be careful. But already the researchers who are very good at evaluating whether the data is good are able to work with this. And so my question is, maybe let's start with you, Dima. How is outreach like utilizing the discovery or AI in discovery? I think there is a lot of use cases. So do you have any take on that?
Yeah, actually I have one cool story, but before going into that, I want to spend some time on talking about the context. So I have love-hate relationship with research. Love because it allowed us to get amazing insights and help designers not only to execute on the roadmap, but also create and shape the roadmap because of the insights that we found during the research. And hate because in large organizations, there is a lot of paperwork which we need to do to get a lot of approvals. So sometimes I spend more time on preparing for research than doing the research. And also sometimes the customers are like more interested on what we are building rather than trying to provide us feedback. So they are kind of spies trying to understand what's next. So that's why I have this like mixed feelings. But fortunately at Outreach, we have internal tools that helped us to solve this problem, and I call it passive research. So I will start with saying that Outreach is a platform for salespeople, and we are quite lucky because our salespeople use our tool to sell our tool. So there is like a lot of insights already living in the platform, and the same comes from for support people, etc. So we have a call recording tool that is available in all of the calls that salespeople and support people have. And that tool gathers all of the insights, and they are later on documented in the system. And we recently, I think 6 months ago, introduced custom topics, which basically means that you can train LLM to understand specific topics. So for example, I'm working with prospects and accounts, and I train that model to understand that. And whenever those topics are mentioned in some kind of meetings, which I'm not part of, it could be some salesperson in States which talks with some customer, but because this conversation is recorded on our sales instance, I have access to that one. And because I created custom topics, I receive notifications saying, hey, this person discussed with this customer this topic, and here is in like exact moment, I can click on that and go to that conversation and see. And later on, I also have advanced reporting, which allows me to dive deeper into those insights. So for example, I can filter by meeting type. So let's say that there is a demo, and obviously like when it's a demo, it's like our salespeople try to sell our platform. But the story is different when, for example, customers meet with support. So when they meet with support, they are angry, right? So that's like the most valuable kind of part, because they are complaining and they explicitly say, hey, I'm pissed off, it doesn't work, fix this. So there is like a lot of great insights that later on I can leverage. And I don't need to do any research. I just set up those custom topics, and I receive notifications bi-weekly or weekly, and that's it.
Okay, so you're using your own tool
Yeah.
to do the research. Nice.
Yeah, but also to be honest, I was thinking, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to sell you Outreach, but if you want to buy it, I will send you my referral link until everyone will be happy. But I try to think how you can, or everyone can do that. And I think that nowadays it's quite common that organizations are using some sort of call recording tool, because it helps you with transcripts, with notes. And then I think that we can chain multiple tools that would allow you to get similar kind of result in the end. I don't know yet what that would be, but I think that that's achievable also, outside of Outreach.
Yeah, we tried this tool called Genway, which is basically, it's maybe a little more advanced. It's for user research, where you you asked it, you want to do a research, so you prompt it to do this kind of research. It gives you a research plan, kind of like from the prompt. You can adjust the research plan, and then it goes and interviews people, the AI. And it can do it in all languages, so like Italian, Chinese. It talks with the, we tested it with 6 different like people from different countries. We had no idea, we don't speak Chinese. So we tried it with them, and the customers were surprised, like, oh my gosh, it's AI talking with us, because it's like following up, context, everything, and then it gives us the data from the calls. Now this part, interviewing, was pretty cool. It works very well. The part which doesn't work that well on that tool is the analysis. Then like, because you don't know the language, and then you try, it gives you like translation, but you don't know if you can trust it. And sometimes it hallucinates some stuff. So I think the analysis is the pain point, but the interviewing part is actually pretty good. Like, I think this might be also the future, that it's not the researchers sitting and taking notes, but actually the AI talking with the participants. So we tried this tool Genway. Not sure if any other points on discovery.
I can, like, of course we use Productboard for Productboard, but I won't be selling Productboard. So like we have also like interface that we explore the agent for like just going through the insights we have in Productboard, or our customers have in Productboard, and they can like get the answers for their questions.
Sure.
But like I'm stopping speaking about Productboard and I'll try to like mention honorably some tools. So recently I saw one of our product manager like using app called Wonderly, and it's like the platform where you just go and you write some question that you want to like clarify or get from the users, and it basically builds a survey for you, and you don't need to write any questions in that survey, and it works in a way that you will just send out the link, and the AI is like interviewing the user in form of chat based on like the assumption you gave it or something like that. So you like pretty quickly just can like tell, oh, I want to understand why people like the or don't like the new navigation we just introduced in comparison to the first one. This is it, this is your input. It will generate you like basically the survey or pre-prompt like the questions. You will send it out to the users, and basically the AI will ask them the questions, and it reacts on their responses. So if they mention some specific phrase that they are frustrated about something, it actually starts digging deeper. So like the number of the questions is not deterministic. So sometimes like the user is able to pass it with 5 questions, but if the user is really giving good feedback, it actually asks more deeply and widely. So this is something that I found pretty cool, and like also the tool has quite good like summarization. So it's basically you are not getting the answers. You are of course like able to find the direct answers, but it's kind of like summarize the themes or like the key takeaways for you. So this was something that I would say I can imagine we will utilize going forward.
And you also mentioned at the beginning, I think that you did some competitor analysis.
Yeah. Like I'm experimenting quite a lot with the deep research. Also, like I use the Manus AI. It's like quite like lightly mentioned as like first AI agent, like public AI agent for like market analysis, etc. So I was like just playing with it out of the curiosity, but usually when I have like some free tokens, so I want to use them, of course, wisely. So I'm not like asking some nonsenses, but really something that I can really in the end use, being mindful about our planet, of course. So yeah, like researching the market, if there is some competitors, or if I'm interested in for example, how their features are like, it's able to like scrape their help articles. It's able to scrape like reviews and gives you like really some comprehensive report. So this is also like quite useful, especially like when you are like starting something new and you want to just find out what's out there.
We at Upheal don't have yet. We are in the process of creating a pipeline or how to store all of the feedback, because it's all around the place. So I want to experiment with Notion and the AI summarize. But what I don't recall a day where I would go to a research and I wouldn't create a transcript with GPT. And when I have that, then I'm using Granola to record it so that the participants are not bothered that someone else is entering the call. And so I have the transcript summarized, but I then use the Google transcript and then put it back to GPT and ask if I was biased somewhere or what was missed so that I can prepare for the next research. And then there is one for, like when you do competitor analysis, I want to know what is the biggest pain point of their customers. And there is one tool, and I'm blanking on it, Philip, you recommended to me, that scrapes Reddit, X, or LinkedIn. Do you remember? So basically you ask about, for example, it wouldn't be the problem, but what's wrong with Kiwi? And it scrapes Reddit, Twitter, and everything.
I
gives
have plenty
you
of data on
yeah. And so if we would be competing against you, I can get the insights that, like, I wouldn't go to Reddit and just search for it. So it kind of combines all of these channels that are not usually, something where people would look at.
Right, and it scrapes like forums, like community.
I think it's Twitter, Reddit, and even LinkedIn.
Okay.
So where the conversation happens.
One thing I want to mention is that we've been discussing before the talk that we will, after the panel, send a document or a follow-up email with all the links to these tools. So you can get it and check it out for yourself, but with our referral codes. Yeah. Okay, that's discovery, and I don't know if there is anything else you want to mention in the discovery phase. Yeah, we have a lot of questions on Slido, but I want to go into one more topic before we jump into Slido, and that's the prototyping, because we already kind of started with Lovable and so on. So again, context from Kiwi. We haven't figured this out yet because most of the tools, as Michal mentioned, are not very good with understanding design context. Like, it usually destroys your Figma designs in a bit, and it takes more work than to prototyping in Figma to actually fix these mistakes. But one use case which we recently did and it proved to work was that we used Lovable to show an animation to developers. Like, we had this appearing text animation we wanted in our app. And it's pretty hard to prototype in Figma, the letters appearing. And we wanted to just show this idea. It doesn't matter if it's in our design system or in any other. So we prompted Lovable, it created it perfectly. And then the engineers even used the same CSS and JavaScript from Lovable to tweak it a bit and actually use it in our app. So that was kind of like this use case, small, quick animations to show is something we can do when the context is not that relevant to it. But I'm not sure what's your impression with these tools. Is there do you have an idea of a tool which is really good working with context? So not like working from scratch, like V0 or Lovable are good at, but actually some AI which understands context pretty well. Oh, this stuff.
I mean, if I would maybe reverse it, so sometimes you get great ideas from actual code. So when you prompt Cursor to do something, you will see how it behaves, and then you can use it as an inspiration, which begs the question, what is the place of Figma in the future? Because especially if you use Claude 3.7, it can just go wild on its own.
So you prefer Claude in Cursor over...
I just do what Philip told me.
Okay, because I do the same, so if I ask...
Yeah, but it was on many occasions where I prompted to do something. For example, create select with themes, and it's created color picker and all of these features I haven't even asked for, and it actually looked quite cool. So it
gave you idea.
Yeah. Okay, this could be maybe V2 or V3. So
So sometimes it's okay to leave the model go wild and add features which you didn't necessarily ask about, because it can inspire you to then how to build the product further.
Yeah. So the another approach, if you would have access to your code base, which could be scary, would be to actually use Cursor or Windsurf to ask it to create something, and you would see it in your app, as opposed to using some design tool, like in Figma, to say, okay, create this variant. But obviously, there are huge risks attached.
I think with the like using V0 Lovable or something like that, it's not about like finding one ideal tool, and maybe at least at this phase, it's about like finding a good combination of multiple tools. So what I found very like useful, or what was actually helping me quite a lot, is prepare the prompts with assistance of, for example, ChatGPT or Claude or something like that. Because like kind of like AI understands the AI, so it helps you to really build the prompt. So English is now best coding language, of course, but and I would say this is also something that designers nowadays, or people who want to work in vibe coding, vibe designing, they will need to like really learn the prompting, learn how to express thoughts, ideas, what they want to really achieve in particular way. Yeah. So at least for now, like the AI can help you with that, and you can take the prompt and then just go to V0 Lovable and just use that at the beginning. And that's definitely like proof, at least for me, to really help you at the beginning, and then you can take it from there. So usually when I'm writing my prompt directly to V0, it's really a trash at the beginning.
So what do you use to write the prompt before?
So I'm going for the ChatGPT and trying to like explain the context, what I want to build. I'm just like really explaining that I'm using this code.
And it's better than explaining the context directly in V0.
Yes, something like that. Or you are basically asking the ChatGPT or different tool to bring you the prompt that you should put to that tool. And it's kind of like, I think the results were like better, at least for the beginning.
Yeah, when it comes to prototyping, I usually use AI for solving the blank canvas problem, and especially like recently when there was end of the quarter and everyone wanted something from me and I wanted to go on vacation, so I had to speed up some things. And sometimes, as Petr mentioned, it surprises me with some ideas which like I didn't thought about. And I was like, oh, actually, that's cool. So let's do that. And also, what I found interesting is that, of course, like you need to spend a lot of time on prompting and like asking it. So hey, why don't you understand it? And like, please fix this and that. But recently, I was working on redesigning the filtering patterns. And in order to make a clickable prototype in Figma, I don't use variables. So like that would be like spaghetti, to do that prototype. So I asked Claude to do this, and I had like clickable prototype in like 5 minutes. So I went to refinement with engineering, and I showed them, hey, that's how it should look like. Obviously, design I will polish, but just I was too lazy to create this prototype. So yeah, I use two things. So blank canvas. Sometimes if I join a different team and I don't know the context that much, then I just ask for inspiration. And sometimes it's not even close to what I ship in the end, but it helps me to just get started and see what I like, what I dislike, and then go into the direction, and also build those quick clickable prototypes. But yeah, that's also something I wanted to ask you, whether you know a tool that allows you to import your design system, because obviously Claude and ChatGPT, they are based on Shadow, or what's the name of that library? Like this one. So it's hard. So if anyone knows a tool that allows you to import your design system and then based on that generate some ideas, just ping me.
We were expecting Figma to know this, right? Like it's the most obvious one. Sorry?
I think Upheal allows you to upload your components, but I haven't used it yet.
What's the name?
UiPilot.
UiPilot. I haven't tested it. We have the AI beta version from Figma. We're like the testers. It only works with free design systems Figma put there. So not very smart yet. We've been testing Subframe, which kind of like is built on this, like you import your design system and then it works with blank canvas and creates it from the components you have there. So I think that's the one which I've seen is the furthest one. I'm not sure if anything else. Then there is now a new version of Builder.io. I mean, 2 days ago they released this version 3.0. It seems pretty interesting to import like designs from Figma and then like code it, but I haven't tested it, so I don't know. I don't know, guys, if you have any other tools which are good with working with design system with an existing one.
I assume it will come, because as you said, if you give Cursor or others rules that they should only use ChatCN and Tailwind, then they use the actual library. So I always have this mindset that whatever is in engineering will later come to design or other tools. So probably that will be possible in Figma.
I also really like your approach with the Cursor, because like I think that bringing designers closer to code is something that's happening, and I think we will see more and more designers being able to build stuff directly in the code bases without the need of actually prototyping, or they will prototype directly on the code base.
That's the only tool that I'm aware of now which has context over everything, because it has context over entire code base and it changes multiple files, not only the one that you work with. So,
Sure,
but it's code.
Our engineers are also like experimenting with it, and it's actually able to use the components you have there.
You're talking about Cursor? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been recently piloting dev mode and Cursor and how it kind of communicates together. And I just today received a message from one engineer that it proves to work pretty well with Orbit, with our design system, that it really fulfills like everything. There are some things which don't work, but it's pretty good. Like there is this also MCP for Figma in Cursor. So the basically in Cursor, they can ask to change the Figma designs, and through the plugin, it actually changes the Figma design, which I don't know if it's really good, but yeah, there is like more and more closer connection between the tools. Okay, we have a whole another area about like design and development and how it's getting closer, but before that, I would jump to the Slido because there is a bunch of questions. No, you're not that tall, come on. Okay, first question. Oh, I can actually moderate this, right? Or I should. Are there any skills you feel you are losing or using less as a designer when working with AI tools? There was less time spent in Figma, no?
Yeah, and also to be honest, but I hope that I will not get fired because of this. But sometimes I feel like I'm less critical, or sometimes like it's easy to trust AI, and like especially when there is like time pressure. So I think that I should spend more time doing the work than just rely on the AI. So that's kind of feedback to me that yeah, maybe I should think about my relationship with AI.
Or go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think going forward, it will be very important skill for designers, and I would say it's like creativity, because I think like a lot of people may like start relying on the AI a lot, and that will basically start like killing a bit the creativity, the innovation. And if we will be using more and more the AI, this will be something that the designers will need to like hone differently, for example, or be critical to the output to the AI. And I feel like now, yeah, I'm just like, I will ask AI how to solve this, and it will show me like some prototype, and I will say, oh, that's fine, it works. But is it really good? Is it not? Like some sort of like critical thinking, creativity will be really important to still maintain and work on for designers. And as I mentioned also, like it will be about ability to really express. So like really the prompting, I see it as a very relevant skill, like that should be improved overall.
Mhm.
I would say that I'm losing my skills or the ability to write clearly, because usually I just outline the things to GPT for, as I said, for research and stuff. And the obvious drawback on this is that if you don't have clarity in writing, you don't have clarity in thinking. So I'm really worried that in 15 years I would talk like potato, which probably wouldn't happen. But before I had to really put an effort into what I'm trying to express, and now it's really easy just to outline few, even for emails or for communication within the company. I just give an outline and say, be clear, succinct, friendly, and off we go.
Yeah, like I think your brain will be occupied with other stuff. Like you will not have to think about it. Like in the past, I think people were like researching stuff in libraries and they lose the capability to like probably like do this research so deeply. Now they can ask Google or even AI. But other things became like more relevant in that. The critical thinking is more important than ever. So yeah, I would not be worried about potato. There will be other things to be worried about. Okay, next question. What's your most recent wow moment in AI?
I can start.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's not that recent, but I remember when I used Midjourney 1 year ago, and literally I could not sleep the whole night. I was so excited about this one, but then like finally, because I always dreamed about like drawing, but I even tried doing some drawing classes and I was terrible because there was math. At drawing lessons, there was some kind of math that, in order to draw something, you need to start with cylinder and all of that bullshit. And then and finally I had a tool which I could translate my ideas, images into reality. And yeah, I literally could not sleep. And the second day I was late to work and all of that stuff. And yeah, that was the most recent one. Unfortunately, maybe I got used to that. After that, there's always ChatGPT, and every week there is something. So basically, I skip all of that FOMO, and I just don't pay that much attention to this. But yeah, that's the thing I definitely remember.
Actually, maybe the wow moment, last one, most recent one, was really the ChatGPT image generation. It was like a huge leap in the quality and the capability of it.
But I see people doing like the same stuff. So I don't know how.
Yeah, I know Ghibli thing. Of course, the AI is now getting to marketing, so everyone needs to do the same ad. So again, it falls back to the creativity, to the critical thinking. So people can do amazing things with it. They just need to not just copy some prompt from someone to be cool, but really figure out what to build with it. So when I was playing with it, and actually I wanted to create some illustrations, which I really sucks in creating the vectors in the Illustrator. So I was super amazed that this is really able to take a style that I have in mind. I will just express it, and it can draw you anything, and precisely, and it's able to generate with the vectors. So you don't need to even it's not like static image or just PNG or JPEG. It's really the vectors, so you can just easily take it and start using it immediately. Mm-hmm. So it was really the wow moment I had recently.
Which tool did you use?
ChatGPT. They recently, I don't know, it's a few weeks ago, they introduced the image generation in 4.0 model.
The vector part was interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you need to just ask for it. And maybe sometimes it's not able to generate you the SVG file, but it generates you SVG code. So you need to just take the code, put it to some tool that is able to convert the code to a real file. But it works.
And even in Figma, I guess that you can copy and just paste if you use
That's but this is something that I was not able to copy it one-to-one to the same, because usually it's shifted few vectors away. So I had to use some code or some app that was able to convert it one-to-one in the same way as they generated the image.
Any other wow moments?
I guess I'm still just amazed at how much I'm using it and what it is capable of. But there is the thing that I haven't experienced firsthand, but I know that Devin AI, that basically you just tell Devin on Slack to change something and it will open PR, ask for review and stuff. And I know that they use it now at Dmytro, so maybe Aleš can tell you a bit more how it really works.
Okay.
But from what I know, it can handle the simple tasks. So instead of you even, creating PR yourself, or if you're a copywriter or anyone, you want to change something, you can just send a message on Slack and say, hey, we have a wrong copy here. Just update it and it will just happen. So, which is kind of cool. But obviously you have to have code base ready for it and everything else. But that seems wow, like for all of these little things you can just, it's one Slack message away. Again, Aleš will probably tell you more.
Okay, let's discuss this because this sounds pretty cool. Cool, one more. By designers covering more ground, do you mean simply producing more designs sped up with AI or overlaps of responsibilities with other roles?
I can take this one also. Like from my perspective, it's overlapping with other roles also, because when I joined Outreach in 2021, we used to have a huge content design team, we used to have huge research team, and now they are gone basically, and we need to kind of
Great to keep this hopeful.
Yeah, like as a product designers, we need to cover more, or it's expected. Although there are some, as a lawyer, I reviewed my contract, and there is nothing about research and content, but I need to do this. So it's, I think becoming a generalist might be a trend for the future. So with AI, we might be able to do more stuff. So that's my take. And I don't think that I produce more designs, I guess, because I spend less time in Figma. So that's might be the issue.
Yeah, I think we spend, I don't know, I don't want to say we spend less time in Figma, but definitely more time in code than we did. So there is overlap. That's how I meant it at the beginning, that I think designers are more T-shaped than they were before. I think that kind of confirms. Okay, I will get back to my topics. We will have one more session of Slido. So we have one big area we kind of already started on, and that's design and code, and the design developer handoff. I was thinking, because if I see one area where I would really like to see progress, it's the design and development relationship. I think that's where we can make the biggest gain in effectivity and quality. And I don't really know what it means right now. I just recently was thinking about this because we have one feature which we concepted with our CEO. We've been going back and forth concepting how the future will look like. It took us 1 week of concepting work, and it took us 4 weeks to document it, then with all the edge cases. And I think that's this part of the design process is pretty long. Designers creating documentation takes days depending on the complexity. Then engineers have to review it. Then they start building exactly the same thing which designers spend days designing. And then they have probably mistakes there. So then the designers need to review it, write again documentation, what is wrong, and the devs implement it. This whole process, I think it doesn't sound to me like 2025. So I don't know what's your take on it or how to fix this problem. But I think this for me is the most exciting part, which I would like us to push with AI to really simplify. So are there any takes on that, Cursor, how is it helping, or where do you see right now AI helping in this the most?
So you probably know my opinion, and I'm very biased towards that. Even with AI or without AI, people should learn how to code. Mm-hmm. Especially if you work for products, then it will only make you better designer. It's same like when architects know how to build. If you are a car designer and you know the work, or you have working knowledge of transmissions, it's just, there is no downside. And as I said with the knowledge expansion, if you don't know what is possible, then how you can design for it? I think you would always default to just average of the tools that you are familiar with. Whereas if you know what is possible with code, regardless of AI, then you become better designer, and design becomes just one of the tools that you're using. And this will, I guess, intensify way more with AI, because you don't have to actually understand how it works, which could be also a downside, because you would be at the mercy of AI.
Yes, couple of follow-up questions on that. One, so imagine being a designer who never touched code, and now like sitting here and thinking, okay, how do I start with this? What would you recommend is the best way to start?
Well, these are not my faults only, because again, I discussed a lot with Philip, but because you have AI, you can actually, it could be your great companion as a teacher. And just to kind of prefix it, I started studying computer science before AI was around. So I already have some base. And now when I want to actually learn how to use it, you can say, this is what you want to build, but don't tell me how to code it. Just give me a conceptual model of what I should look for, what are the questions that I should ask for. And then you try to build. And if it fails, you can ask AI, just give me a hint or what is wrong with it. But if you are starting completely from scratch, there is a great school, which I heard of, and I'm starting with it a bit. It's called Launch School, and as opposed to these courses, which is like become an engineer in 24 hours, it really takes a slow approach, and you actually have to pass each module before they let you to open another one. And so Andy, one of the engineers at Deepnote, he used to be designer for 10 years. He did that for a year and a half, but he quit his job and he went full on, and then he became an engineer. So
wait, are you saying that designers should become engineers?
Well, in my limited world, I mean, if you are designing products, then you should know how to build them as well. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to go very deep, but you should have working knowledge of how the things that you're designing actually work.
Yeah.
But that's my take. And I'm biased again, because I thought that this is what I need to do, and I live with it.
But it seems to be working for you, so I guess it's a valid path.
Well, it's also because I've seen many designers. Again, I mean, Aleš, Philip here, they both know how to code, and you just see that they design in a different way. And I think if you work with any designer that used to code before, you just can tell how they think about the issues and how to build solutions.
We had the same discussion before the panel with Dima, right? Like speaking about our former colleague in Kiwi and now at Outreach. Also, like the same story, like David Jambor. He will watch the recording. He texted me today, but he also like was one of the most effective designers I have ever seen, because he had the code knowledge. Yeah. Any other take on this? Or
I actually have like completely opposite one.
Okay,
So let's introduce some spices here. And I was thinking about this one because I cannot code. So I was thinking exactly like, I'm glad that you asked this question. So I cannot code. So should I learn to code in 2025? And my bet, I hope, like that I will not be, without work in like next 2 or 3 years. But my bet is on soft skills and kind of more into that area and building relationship with engineering. So then they can explain to me if I have some doubts. I didn't have any issues with like creating designs that are completely out of mind. So I didn't have any issues with that. And I personally want to spend more time into understanding the business and kind of getting closer a bit to maybe product management. And also recently I saw that 2 senior designers, which I admire, they switched to product management in like past month. So, that makes me think. I'm not saying that I will not learn to code. I will just observe. And my personal take is to rather focus on soft skills, a business side, because some people say, or LinkedIn doomers say that code is a commodity, and I guess like with time, it will be much easier to get maybe not production-ready code, but there will be libraries, there will be templates, reusable parts, and in the end of the day, I think that most of the B2B applications are just a CRM with some kind of branding layer on top, and the features are kind of repeated. You just have a different layer, different naming for how it works. So I guess AI will learn how to develop those repeated patterns, and it will be much easier for people with just plain English, to describe, hey, I want this, this, and this, and system will analyze, it will understand that, oh, I need CRM, I need this and that, I will connect it, and that's it. So also, usually I'm the optimist, but I feel like I'm old and I cannot learn new things, and I don't know if I'll be able to get to production level. During the refinement, I see how engineers talk, and they are, but this, and I completely don't know what's happening. So, I have mixed feelings. I will attend more meetups, and I will try to see how community thinks about this one. So maybe I'll change my mind.
But I want to stress out one point, which I hope I understand correctly. But it was not that you need to become an engineer who can write production-ready code, right? It was more about that with AI, you don't have to understand all the details about the code to be able to write it.
But you should have at least from my point of view, a conceptual model of how things work, even though you don't know exact syntax or you don't know, you wouldn't be able to code the thing itself, but at least you understand the principles of how things work so that you can design. And I agree with you, and I also been pretty opinionated about it, but I also think that designers should easily step into product manager roles at any time. So we should be everything. That's what I'm saying.
That's why we are at the stage where everything is changing so fast, and it's about I think the most important thing is to not be stuck in your world and be able to adapt and test new stuff and experiment. Because nothing hurts my feelings more than when I hear someone from the team say, "Oh, I won't use AI for this." And I'm like, "Wow, this is not a very strong comment," which I feel very, very sad about, but I heard some people say this as well. So, but I also think it's mostly people being scared.
Maybe one more thing that I think it's also important to distinguish is that I worked for the last couple of years in companies where there is 40 people. So actually, if you can design it, ship it, and even kind of prepare the entire thing end to end, that's very desirable. In bigger orgs, I assume you wouldn't even get access to code. So it's different.
I think that's a good point that it's the different outreach Upheal, it's very different scale. I can see it in Kiwi as well, the scale is massive, the code base is extremely complex. So it's much harder for us to do the step where designer actually enters the code base. I wanted to add one more thing to the Cursor, that we now have licenses for everyone in the company for Cursor, and I was encouraging designers to use it as well. One really cool example where we proved to make it work pretty well, and not that the stepping stone for designers to get into code was not that hard, was Figma plugins. So plugins are a super powerful way how you can optimize some of your ineffective parts in your design process, and the documentation is pretty simple for Cursor to understand. It's trained to understand much more complex context comparing to just building a Figma plugin. So we've seen this in Kiwi, some designers jumping into Cursor and their first project to be, hey, let's build a Figma plugin for this. I will simplify my design process with this. For example, we have a plugin which automatically pre-fills your new Figma file with the right structure. Right, super simple. Designers always had to copy paste or write the pages themselves. Now they can use a plugin to generate this automatically. It's through Cursor. It was really 1 hour of prompting work, and it works. So I also seen this as a maybe interesting starting point that designers. It's still Figma. It's still design. They understand their domain pretty well, but they are already getting familiar with Cursor.
Maybe one nice example, how it can be beneficial for designers to at least understand the code. So we all designers, we understand that push some design out, developers develop it, and there is small bug that, I don't know, spacing is wrong. Yeah, and you want to list it out for engineers to fix it. Oh, it will be in next sprint. I was like, what the fuck? It's like one code, one liner, change. So with AI, like designers don't need to wait the sprint for fix it, right? You can like simply make small changes. So yeah, it's not maybe about like making production ready codes, being like full-fledged developers, but being able to like just quickly polish the final product according to the intended design.
Yeah.
It can be like really simple changes.
Or is there, yeah. Actually, interesting point that we've been also thinking about and testing this, that what I mentioned, that when you do the documentation and then developers build it, then there are usually mistakes and you need to like check the staging, right? And then you need to screenshot and mark what was wrong and then send it to the engineers. So this part, I think, is a good starting point to already optimize exactly what you, Michal, said, that maybe we could have a tool which works on top of the staging where you can do the fixes, the designer themselves, and then just do a merge request for the engineer to check and it's done. So that could be like a first stepping stone maybe, but we've been like thinking about this, not really solving it yet, but it could be a starting.
And then another thing I haven't mentioned, but I think it's important, or it will be more and more, is that when you design for AI, I think up till some years ago we had pretty good control over the interface, but now when you actually have AI engines within your interface, you can't predict what the output always will be. And so you can design that, okay, it will use one input or one of these blocks and it looks all sweet and good, but then if it goes crazy and you have all of a sudden 60 blocks of something which you can't even know what it will use, it's really hard to predict that in Figma. And so for that you need to, I would say, working, coding, prototype.
Yeah, like the UI will probably evolve with the new normal, and yes, we will not be designing the way 2D simple UI screens as we did. Yeah. So that brings like my kind of final question. Like we started the discussion with how did the design process evolve looking 5 years ago to now. So how do you see a product designer 5 years from now? Like what are we actually doing?
I would say that it's a lot about, as was mentioned, having the ability to have a critical thinking, because it will be plethora of, you know, options of designs that you can do, especially if it would have context over your entire design system. It can speed out, I don't know, 20 versions for onboarding, but someone needs to be there to kind of guardrail it and understand the scopes that might not be exposed to AI. So somewhat a curator. So maybe we wouldn't be pushing pixels as much, which means that maybe we wouldn't be designers per se.
Is designing about pushing?
Yeah, but I mean, if you wouldn't even, yeah, it's maybe you would create narratives and try to understand and have, especially if AI can spit out so much noise at you, you would be able, or you must have clarity, which goes back to writing, of what is really necessary, I guess, and how to connect all of the dots with business, users, and AI. And then maybe in the ideal world, you will have the time to really, because I mean, AI will probably only produce the average of what it is trained on. And then you will have to time to create a design sugar. So really just for the sake of creating something that is novel and not there, which I think would be a thing when all of the companies will average into something that is okay-ish. Then really good design, as it's already now, will stand out. Mm-hmm. Like you could see with raycast and linears and other tools that when the really strong design comes, it's actually something that can sell.
We had a discussion in the team today exactly about this, that one designer on my team asked me on one-on-one that now everyone can become a designer pretty fast, like especially with the AI, super fast. And like how do we like now they will not be able to tell what is good and what is not because they became designers so fast. But I think like more competition just like pushes people to stand out more, like the quality will always stand out, as you said, like Linear and other tools. So yeah, I'm very hopeful for this that will happen. Any other take on designer?
I was actually reading very interesting thought, and I think it may become a reality in 5 years, that the designers have really good time for starting own business. Because like really the designers are usually spreading from the design, engineering, business, and this is actually making this a very good sweet spot or good area to work in. Because if you have good idea, you know how to design, you can easily now jump to vibe coding and just like start monetizing it and growing the own business. And yeah, I think it's really good because everyone is like, we discussed the doomsday scenarios for design. I would say actually design is in quite good position at this moment, because we really tend, I know you are referring to design as a glue of the company, really connecting like multiple roles, and I would say it's a good time for us.
Actually, that's a good point. I have always, since the beginning of my career, this thinking that design is glue at the company, and I have to confirm that with the AI boost, it became even more and more visible. Like now designers working directly with CEO, like prototyping stuff, and like really I see more visibility for design than I have ever seen before. So I'm pretty hopeful in this. I think I can confirm. Any final thoughts on this?
Yeah, to build on top of what Michal said, actually I have a friend who built his own company in 2012. He was a designer and he decided to go into producing natural mattresses. And back then it took him 6 months and quite a lot of cash to build the company. And recently we were discussing that nowadays it would take like less than a week to do everything, because back then he had to think about like photography session, content, translating that to German because he was selling to Austria, videos and stuff like this. And like it took time and money to build that stuff. And now that would be like, like literally with all of those tools, 1 week maximum to do that. So completely agree, designers, let's build our own stuff. And
I think Marty Kagan had like an essay on like the current state. And I think he was mentioning also that it's the best time for founders to start companies. There will be more companies, but again, like more competition brings out, I think, quality. So,
but like just a disclaimer, so we don't get sued. Don't quit your job. You need to pay your bills. So like be careful. Like it's not financial advice, right?
Okay, final question. Everyone is waiting for: is Figma doomed? Is this the end of Figma, or how do you see the tool evolving?
I would say they are not stupid. They are already like making the progress. We just don't see it, or maybe we see it. Like there are some leaks on the internet that they are really making competition for V0, for Lovable, etc. So
you expect them to do vibe coding?
Yeah. And I expect them at like actually bridge the gaps the vibe code apps currently have, like the design system we mentioned, etc. So they actually have the missing part already nailed. So if they will now just copy paste like the approach of the Lovable and these tools, like they can like really nail it and like remain the very relevant for designers.
Okay. Very good, hopeful. Okay, if there is no other thoughts on Figma, let's jump into the questions. And again, I have to control this, but if a designer showcase you on the interview usage of any AI tool during the whiteboard session, do you see it as a plus or minus point?
Depends. Like I would say it depends on the context, and if like if he like admits that hey I will use AI for this, and like prove that he is really using it pretty well, I see it as a plus, because I would say it's really now a skill that's like is very necessary, as I mentioned, to be efficient, etc. So I wouldn't see it as a con, definitely.
I think we discussed before, like Shopify with the manifesto.
Yeah.
The CEO did they are very bullish on like usage of AI and the skills.
Everywhere. Yeah. So I would say, and especially like when we do like some interviews for the designers nowadays, we like if it's not coming up like from their side, we usually ask how we are like keeping up with modern trends, how we are using like AI tools. So yeah, I would say it's a plus.
Yeah, same. I mean, if they use it in a context of how to speed up the work, if it would be just prompting, and then after they finish, they would be like this, and probably it's not a good way to interview.
Yeah, I also think this is a plus, but it kind of depends, because if someone like struggles the whole session and then says, "Hey, I need to go to toilet," and suddenly comes back with the perfect solution, then I would be like kind of, yeah, something is wrong here. But in the end of the day, like we are using this during our work. My leader knows about this. Hello, Johnny. So like if we are doing this during our work, then why not allowing like candidates to also use it? And but to be honest, it didn't happen yet. We are not doing that much interviews now. But I didn't saw that during whiteboarding. Yeah, that's.
We're also not doing whiteboarding, so it's hard for me to.
Yeah, so we are doing. I like this part, to be honest.
What is on top of your wish list for AI? Something it can't do yet, but would significantly improve the way you work? Very good question. I'm like, if designers were able to do production-ready code, I would be like saving so much money.
I would like for example, that onboarding, that it could create variants, push it to code, have like set up tests, then just let me know after there would be significance that this is what you should go for. Because I mean, the onboardings are already almost figured out, right? So you know what are the patterns, and sometimes you just need a clear winner. But to organize the entire company around what are we doing next as a test, it seems something that should be.
Wait, what do you mean by onboarding?
Like for example, the onboarding flow or anything else where you know that it's a good candidate for A/B tests. So it would just run it constantly and you don't have to touch it.
It's like a feature onboarding in a SaaS product, like to introducing the...
Or anything else that is like that you usually, or websites that you run tests on, that you don't have to touch it, and especially when you are using blocks that are, it's not unique, it's not your mode, it's something that you know that even designers designing it just go and use 6 examples to put it together.
Okay, understood. Yeah.
I find it kind of interesting that there are many, like, piggybacking on what you just said, right? Like, essentially, you're offloading a lot of the work onto the user of your application, right? Because they are exposed to your experiments and tests. And I'm also seeing a lot of tools which are trying to automate, like research, while impersonating researchers essentially. And so to me, it's really interesting that even like ethically to consider that a company would say, you, my customer or prospect or future user, you do the work because I'm too busy doing it and I'm paying this third party to automate it for me. Because that my wish list would be, give me a tool that can play with your AI so I don't have to be exposed to your bullshit experiments. Right?
Yeah, but I guess you are the suspect of experiments anyways, right? And Booking is famous for it, that they run it all the time. So if you just look at it as I want to improve the bottom line without paying team of people to experiment with it, if I would have AI, if I would be founder, I would love to have it. But if you would protect yourselves against it, that would be like fair play.
I actually have one crazy here, because what I'm missing is that one tool that would aggregate all of those things. So I would imagine that my wishes would be to have a design buddy. I don't know if that's like a robot or like some agent or however we call it, So basically, someone which I can delegate tasks to, or like I can talk with this. I don't know how to call it. So I don't need to jump between different tools, as Michal mentioned. Like you need to prepare prompt in ChatGPT, then go to V0, then use Cursor or whatever. So this like kind of detached, and I don't know if that's a right way to go. So having some kind of monopoly and like someone who does everything, but yeah, that might be interesting.
I think you can almost achieve it with Raycast, and you can build that pipeline.
You reminded me, my friend Lucka Kubinska, a great designer. She has been very good since I know her. She has been extremely good at taking notes. She has a database of everything, all the design patterns, everything she learned about design, all her approaches, and also her projects, her history of what she worked on. She had this. There is this book called Second Brain, which like explains like the perfect note taking by Tiago. I don't remember. Forte. So she, based on this methodology, she built like the perfect note system. And now when AI came, she basically trained her own AI agent on her data. So, and she called it design buddy. And she literally has a design buddy who she has asked, I'm starting this feature, what kind of things do I have in my notes for this? And it like supports her like a co-pilot designing. So I think something similar. She trained like some open source like agent or some GPT on her data, and yeah, maybe I should invite her for the next panel. Yeah, okay. Good. So that's wish list. How do you approach privacy security issues sharing company internal data with the AI model? I think this is a pretty big topic. I think this is mainly for the bigger companies like enterprises, or even Upheal. Like it's pretty medical. It's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, as in how we protect data of our users, or?
I guess this is more connected to the AI models.
Internal data.
So I can imagine what I said about the perplexity that we use our internal data. The good thing that these enterprise tools like the Perplexity Enterprise, one of the USPs is your data is secure and we don't train anything on it and we don't share it anywhere. That's kind of like the USP they have as the first thing on the top. Like, hey, your data is yours. We only use the Perplexity sonar to kind of dig into it, but we don't train it on that. So I kind of trust them. They seem like a decent company. Our legal team trusts them, so like, but yeah, I don't know if there is any.
Like we have it same. Like we use it for our data. We even use it on our like customer data because they use OpenAI. So there is consent with it, so they know that we are using it. They know which data we are using it. But no, I know that there is like. For some companies, there were quite huge like pushback of like, oh, we are not really signing this, and like they claim as well that when it's all through the API, they are not using the data for like learning for the feedback loop. So it should be like safe, but they don't trust it even. Like even they claim that it's safe. So I think it's dependent on the company of like how the adoption of the AI is. Our company is pretty fine with it for our like internal data. And again, like same as the Shopify, like our CEO, our leadership is like pushing, hey, use it, try to incorporate it in their daily jobs.
You just reminded me of one more thing, that when we were discussing with Figma, like the AI features, one of the things our legal team and our company in general was against was training Figma model on our designs. So I know that this one we actually have turned off.
Actually Figma is pretty tricky because when you like actually enable the feature, it's enabled by default.
So not for enterprise.
Not?
No.
Yeah. Okay, so
for,
maybe
for lower
for the lower plans, maybe yeah. So it's like slightly
I
shady.
think it was the
but
opposite for like enterprise and the pro.
like I bet like a lot of enterprises won't do this.
Yeah.
Just maybe briefly add to this that what I try to do is to anonymize the data. Because I remember first time when ChatGPT introduced this memory updated. I don't know if you noticed that. And I was like, wait a second, what are you doing with this one? You know, like, why do you remember stuff about me? So like after that, instead of saying, hey, I'm like outreach is this and that, I say, oh, I'm B2B SaaS platform, like I try to do this and that, and like try to be as generic as possible and not to reveal any information that might cause any issues.
Okay. Final one, because I see we've been talking a lot. So final question, we can then discuss the other ones during the networking. What's the most clever or impactful way your team has integrated AI into your daily workflow, whether through custom-built tools or third-party tools?
So I can start. Yeah. So this is the example I mentioned in the very beginning. So we are leveraging our own platform for so-called passive research. So whenever salespeople have a meeting with someone and they discuss some of the custom topics which I generated, then I receive notification within like transcript and also links to the moments where that feedback occurred. So yeah, I think that's the most impactful one. And we are looking into expanding we are looking for ways to build on top of our design system, so tools that would generate stuff based on design system. So yeah, we are still exploring that, but today there were a couple of tools mentioned, so we'll definitely look into those.
Yeah, the daily workflow, one thing that comes to my mind is that designers now use ChatGPT as a copilot for asking what developers would ask. So when they are doing the handoff, they usually ask like, okay, I'm doing this feature, what am I missing in the documentation? Like, I want it to do this, what do I need to specify for the devs? So this is kind of like an easy one which they like use, but we've been discussing it, like the AI tools are very powerful when you use them as a co-pilot to kind of like discuss with stuff. I don't know if any other daily workflow hacks.
Like I quite find useful the OpenAI voice mode. I sometimes like find myself just like activating it and talking to it as to the designer sitting next to me, and just like asking the questions, expressing my thoughts that I'm expressing like what I'm trying to solve, and just like ask for feedback or roast my ideas basically and prove me I'm wrong, what I should do differently. And this is quite like working well. It's like immediate feedback. You don't need to wait for the design critic or something like that. So this was something that I really like, and I come back to it quite often, especially when I'm home. Like when I'm sitting in the office, it's a little bit weird. Yeah, and I would say also like impactful way what we do at the Productboard, and Patrick, you know it, like we like really do the V0s now quite a lot. And I would say it's really speed up like our work, and not even like the handoff, but also like the communication between product manager and myself. So for example, I'm working with the team that is sitting in San Francisco. So like we have like 1 hour slot that we can like just speak. And so what we found quite useful is that we created V0 or the PM even like created V0 and tell me, hey, this is something that we need to build. How do you think about it, etc. So I can fork it, I can like recreate it differently, and it's really speed up our process. So usually like it works in a way that he created the prototype, he's sleeping, I'm working on it, then I'm sending it back. Then and I'm sleeping and he's working on it, and we are just exchanging and iterating like over the time zones. And it's really definitely better than like just in the Figma, and because he cannot do it in the Figma basically.
Yeah. Our team is fairly small, so I think we are mostly using it on an individual level. So we don't have something that we would use as a process.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to speakers. Applause to them. Really good.